Hello, everybody. This is Uncle Louie coming at you with podcast episode 25. Yeah, 2025. Yeah, so the title of this podcast shall be Movie Theories. Yeah, movie theories. Now, there's a very, very good reason why I decided to particularly touch on the topic of movie theories, and that is because lately I've been watching the American Pie movies back to back, and I don't mean like the extras or the other one. No, I mean like the main story of American Pie, which is American Pie 1, American Pie 2, American Wedding, and American Reunion. Those four. Just those four, because those four have the consistent storyline behind it. So when it comes to movie theories, it comes to movie theories, um, there's always there's always somebody that's always done that has already done something that you've thought of when it comes to movies. Now here's one that I have not seen anybody touch on that excuse me that I have decided would be pretty cool to share with all of you and to actually be uh, somebody who puts it out there just in case. Because I tell you what, I've tried looking for this particular theory or for something resembling this theory on YouTube. I spent a lot of time looking through a lot of posts, seeing if I could find it. Nowhere to be found. It's probably on the internet somewhere, but not on YouTube. So I will happily say that I am the first one to bring this out. And if I am not, then well, I'm up there in the selected few that do put it up there. But as from what I've looked through and what I've researched through, I have not seen it anywhere on YouTube. So you loyal Luians will be the first ones to go. And just before we get started, welcome back. And if you are new, then I am welcoming you and hope that you will subscribe and become a loyal Luian yourself and become a part of the Luian posse uh, for Uncle Louie's posse. All right, so let's get started. So the first theory that I came across, I never noticed. I've never noticed this, and that was because I've watched all of the other movies before, all of the movies, the four movies before, and it just never hit me until I watched them back to back. Not exactly consecutively, but every day I would watch one of the American Pie movies, and I watched all of the movies within 4 days. And so, back to back, like one day, one movie, the next day, the other movie, the next day, the other movie, and the final day, the final movie of those four. So, this particular theory has to do with Nadia. Now, if you all remember, if you've all seen the first American Pie movie, you'll know that Nadia is the gorgeous foreign exchange student that Jim tries to get with, that he has a big crush on. And by the way, before I start this, now that I remembered, spoilers. There are going to be a lot of spoilers for this, or at least certain parts of the movie that are going to be spoilers that are going to be said on this video. So, in case you have not seen the movies and you don't like spoilers, I recommend you pause the video or just exit out of the video, watch the movies first, and then come back. Okay, now that the warning's done, I've given you your time. You've had your time to pause and whatnot, and to not go further with this if you have not seen it and if you don't like spoilers. Now, onto the spoilers, onto the theory. So, in this theory, like I mentioned, Jim has a thing for Nadia, etc. We know that, that's proven in the first movie. So, in the first movie, let's go to the main scene between Jim and Nadia, which is the scene where Nadia comes over to study with Jim, and he is we all know Jim's a pervert, and so he puts up a cam internet cam link, and a camera, so that he could see what's going on because she has to be undressed. She has to kind of have the room to herself so she can change clothes and whatnot to, I guess, something more comfortable or something like that. So Jim puts on the camera, leaves, goes to his friends, and he emails the link for that particular um, video, live video feed, um, to what he thought was only going to be the selected friends of his, but it turns out that he ended up sending the link to everybody within the high school. Yeah, not just the students. I'm just leave it at that. So Nadia's undressing, whatnot, and then his Jim's friends egg him to get the hell back over there and do something about it. Basically, get laid. And so Jim comes in. Nadia's a little bit surprised, and he's trying to coax her, seduce her in his own goofy way, as we know, as the people who have seen the movies know. Jim does. He has a very goofy way of doing things. It's always a disaster, but always ends up working out somehow in some way to his benefit. So he tries to do the little dance, etc. I'm not gonna go too deep into this because I'm hoping that I'm expecting you all to have already seen this movie. So he does what everybody does. She she's about to leave because Jim prematurely ejaculated, and so in a way, in a last ditch effort, he gets some dirty magazines that he noticed she was eyeing while he was still watching the video at his friend's house. And so he gets a dirty magazine that she had not found yet, and coaxes her back into it, and he gets a second shot to go at it with her, but he yet again, prematurely ejaculates, and Jim becomes the laughing stock of the school. And because he sent the link to everybody his high school's directory, including the non-students, the people in charge of Nadia's foreign exchange student kind of program thing, they saw it, and I'm assuming they canceled their little agreement because of what she was doing and how it was basically shown everywhere. So she went back to her home country and whatnot. And Jim never got laid with Nadia, and she's gone. And that kind of ends up being a big regret. So the thing I want to establish with that story is Nadia did have a liking for Jim already. You can tell. If she did not like him, she would not give him the chance. In fact, she gave him two chances. Two chances just within that to give him some action. Let's just leave it at that. We're trying to be a little bit family friendly here. Not all the time, but we're trying to be a little bit family friendly. So he gives her an unsatisfactory leave, basically, because he did not get laid. He did not do her. Okay, so let's move on to second movie. Second movie, again, spoilers. Second movie. Jim is with his friends, with his main friends, and they go to a beach house or something like that, or lake house, and they're gonna have a good time. They're gonna party, etc. And at this point, he's kind of already he still likes Nadia, but that's not on her mind anymore, considering she's gone, and he expects that he'll never see her again. So then he gets a call in the beginning of that summer, that first day that they arrive, around their first day or two, because they don't know the exact timeline of the movie, but the point is it's when they more or less first arrive in the summer, or the lake house, I should say. So he gets a call, and this call is from none other than Nadia herself. It is from Nadia herself. And Jim is surprised, and she's basically, in a nutshell, the conversation in a nutshell, she told him that she's sightseeing around the United States, and that at the end of summer, once the guys have their party and whatnot, that she's going to see him at the end of summer. And so he's excited. He has another shot. She gave him another shot. Now, this movie has actually two parts that I'm going to touch topic on, and so that's the first part. The first part is Nadia is still interested because she went out of her way to contact Jim, so she still has an interest in him, even though he's still interested, but he did not make efforts to contact her again. So, second part. At the end, when Jim finally gets to see Nadia at that final grand party of the summer, to kind of end the summer, Jim goes into a lighthouse with her because Nadia wanted to go to a lighthouse. The caretaker's not there, so there's a bed in there and everything, and you know they're in a situation to have sex basically. And as he's preparing to uh, fulfill what he couldn't, right as he's about to get intimate, I'm not saying just the sex itself, but as you know, as the kissing is about to start and whatnot, he realizes that he is in love with Michelle. Now, I'm gonna backtrack here because I skipped a lot. But the significance of that is that, or the way that that came to be, is that he spent so much time with Michelle because he always considered himself, or he didn't know if he was a lousy lay, and he wanted to be good for Nadia because he sees her as this like ultimate gorgeous woman that's out of his league and whatnot, and he wants to know where he stands as far as his level of satisfaction for women. And since in the first movie he only got laid with Michelle, she's the only point of reference that he has. And so he asks, throughout the whole movie, it's basically Jim and Michelle together, just Michelle trying to help Jim out with giving him tips and showing him techniques and whatnot, things that women like, basically. She's teaching him how to pleasure a woman, you know. And I mean, what better way to get all the details than from a woman herself, since they know all the spots, everything that coaxes them and seduces them. And so that's why Jim realized when he was about to kiss Nadia and whatnot that he was actually in love with Michelle. Now, mind you, Michelle already had that realization before that moment, but she didn't want to intervene because Jim, at that point that she realized it, was still interested in Nadia. So let's continue. So Jim realizes it. He leaves. Not well. Before he leaves, Nadia says, "You like the band geek?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he leaves. You know, he mentions that I was always a band geek, but I just never joined the band. That's why he was always goofy. So, boom. So Nadia's there yet again, unsatisfied. But you could still see the longing in her eyes that she does sincerely love Jim and she wants to be with Jim. She wants Jim to be hers. And so that leaves off with that. Now, fast forward to American Reunion. Now this is because I don't remember seeing Nadia in American Wedding at all, so no point. But American Reunion. So Nadia only comes out in one of the final scenes or the last couple of minutes of the movie. And basic premise of American Reunion is Jim and Michelle have been stuck in like since they had a child, a little boy. You know, he's walking around, running around, whatnot. They've been in constant parent mode that they haven't had a chance to be intimate with each other. So the basic premise of the movie, at least one of the main stories beyond the other many stories under it, is that the reunion was supposed to be a time when Jim and Michelle were supposed to have time alone so that they can leave their son with Jim's dad, and they can be have time to be husband and wife and be intimate with each other and kind of rekindle that passion that they've kind of lacked because they were so busy just focusing on being parents. And so towards the end of the movie, when they're at their reunion, um, Jim and Michelle feel intimate, so they go into the band room. That's completely nobody in there. They have sex, and while they're having sex, now pay attention to this part. While they're having sex, more or less in the middle of it, the camera screen, or how I should explain the shot. They have the camera shooting at Jim and Michelle, getting it on and whatnot, and then the camera starts panning to the left. I don't know how it's going to come out here, but the point is the camera's panning to the left as if it's trying to show us something else. And once you see who it is, it turns out to, yeah, hold on. People. Yeah, I'm at the park. You know, this will be a good time to just take a little break from all of the American Pie stuff for a second. But yes, I'm at the park, so there's people passing by. Most of them have been very quiet. Just this woman is very ignorant of what I'm doing and is not very respectful. I don't care who you are. If you see someone doing something like this, it's kind of common courtesy to be a little bit quiet and silent. So we'll just wait a bit until the noise passes. Okay, I think we're good. So the point is, back to the story. Camera starts panning left, right? And who do you see that's who do we see as the audience, as the viewer watching this movie that they show us? Nadia. And she just has those real big eyes, a big smile, and she's just standing there watching Jim and Michelle have sex. Watching, just watching. With her assumed date with the guy that I assume is her date. But she isn't saying anything. She didn't announce herself. Who knows? Like, we as the viewer have a question in our minds, like, how long has she been standing and watching? You know, because I believe it was Michelle who realized it because she was facing towards, her face was facing towards the exit. And so she was the first one to notice. And it just makes you think, like, how long was she watching them have sex? Because that's not normal. That's kind of weird. That's kind of effed up. And so she's just with the big eyes, like real open, you know, like not just like normalized, like real open, real wide, and with a big smile. And she's just there. Now, this is where I have this. When I last watched it a couple days ago, when I watched American Reunion, that's when it hit me. Just all of a sudden, it just hit me like a bullet. That I know that look as a man who has had encounters with various types of women. After a while, you learn to kind of understand certain looks and kind of feel the vibe the vibe of certain looks and certain things, and know when something is true or something is fake, and when it's just a facade and whatnot. And when I saw Nadia just smiling with those big eyes, honestly, to me, it looked like crazy eyes. Like pissed off, angry, jealous, psycho eyes. And that's what, like I said, that's when it hit me. Like, oh my God, Nadia never got over Jim, and she is so angry and jealous of Michelle. She's angry at Michelle because she's the one who ended up taking his heart, even though in the first two movies, Jim's heart belonged to her because he liked Nadia. But once Michelle came into the picture, that's all. That's all she wrote. He ended up going to her, and she's the woman he ended up with. So she's angry because of that, and she's jealous because she's the one who's having sex with Jim, while Nadia had multiple attempts, or gave Jim multiple attempts and chances to have sex with her, but he never did, for one reason or another, but he never did, so she was never satisfied. Sexually, and I would even go as far as saying mentally and emotionally. Now, as if that wasn't enough to really seal it in, for me at least. You know, you all may agree or disagree. Drop your comments on what you think about this. But if that wasn't enough, the guy that Nadia is with, because mind you, not only is she just standing there and staring, but he's just there staring, but he's staring more like, what are we doing here? He's kind of aware that this is not a situation that you fall privy to because it's a private moment between a man and a woman. He understood that, and he was just like, with his face standing there next to Nadia, what am I doing here? And right as, Jim polite, in some polite form, basically tells them to get the heck out of there so they can have a private time. As Nadia's date is walking out with her, he says something. He says, I look nothing like him. Which to me just clicked it even further. It just supported that Nadia is obsessed with Jim. That Nadia is crazy. Legitimate, like there's something a little bit loose screw up here. She's crazy. She's obsessed with Jim, and she never got over him. And that proved it because she tried to find someone that looked like Jim, or resembled Jim in some way, to her at least. And she went as far as saying, "You look like Jim," just from that phrase. Because the guy says, "I look nothing like him," which means she must have told her date that he looked like Jim, a guy that she knew, that she probably liked. I don't know how much she divulged to this man, but it's clear that she has a heavy obsession and infatuation with Jim. So that's my theory, that Nadia is in fact crazy and just completely, utterly, totally obsessed and infatuated with Jim. And she is never, and probably will never, get over it. So that is one. That's one theory. Now, like I mentioned, I've yet to hear anybody, whether it's on YouTube or anywhere else, I've yet to see this connection being made. Maybe it's on the internet somewhere, but I have yet to find it. So that's why I felt it was my obligation to put this out there, because this is something, if nobody realized this could change the game completely. Because as a viewer, when you look at Nadia, you always think she's great, she's innocent, she's a real hot chick, whatnot. But once you put in the crazy factor from all of the movies, and you rewatch the movies, they are very different. They look different. They feel different. She is not the same. You'll never see Nadia the same again after having that realization or that enlightenment. But yeah, pretty heavy stuff. I don't know. It drove me crazy in a way, like not in a bad way, but it's just like I was like mind blown by the fact that I never realized it sooner. And it's just, I thought to myself, well, I need to get it out there if it's not out there. And even if it was, I mean, I would still put it out, but it's kind of nice to be the first one or one of the first ones. But I think I'm the first one. So this is pretty cool. Feels great. Feels great to be kind of original and find something that many others have overlooked or not even bothered to put effort into discussing, which is great for me. A first for Uncle Louie's podcast. Well, we have a lot of firsts, but this is a different kind of first. A first for a theory, a movie theory. You may even call it a conspiracy theory, but I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I just think it's a flat out just movie theory that Nadia is crazy and she's just obsessed and infatuated with Jim. Always. Will always be obsessed and infatuated with Jim. So that's one. Now I have one more that's not going to be as long as long as the Nadia theory. So the second theory involves Steven Stifler, or as many of you may know him as the Stiffmeister. So many of you never really question that Steven Stifler is a huge pervert, is always chasing somebody, he's always chasing a woman and whatnot, and he's always trying to have sex and get laid. We don't question it. It is shown to us time and time again in every movie. But not many of you, or some of you may have questioned him because it was kind of, how do I say it? It was brought up or suggested in, I believe it was American Wedding, that Stifler might be gay, like secretly gay or bi. And that's the theory, that Stifler is possibly gay or fully gay or just bisexual. Or for all of you out there that see the third option, bi-curious. But I think bisexual suits it, and I will explain why. So, and this one will take a lot of content off of American Pie 2, American Wedding. Yeah, just those two, because those two are the ones that highlight this the points in this theory the most. Actually, they highlighted the points in this theory completely. So in the second American Pie, Back to the Lake House, Stifler and crew, they they got summer jobs as a painting crew to earn money for the lake house. Now, they're working on this house, and it's home to two very beautiful and gorgeous and very seductive women. Now, Stifler believes that they're lesbians, and being the perv that he is, when they're away, he goes rummaging through the house. And Jim and Finch go in there and try to get him out so that they don't get in trouble and lose the job. And so there comes a point where they're trying to get Stifler out, Jim and Finch, and excuse me, dry throat. Uh, you know what? This is a great chance to for all of you to take a break from thinking, and I'm trying to open this water. One moment. This is there we go. Oh, the noisy lady is coming back. Yeah, it's getting dark too, so I don't know how much of this you can still see. Alright. For all you people that don't like the noise of people gulping, if the camera even picked it up, someone, hopefully in the comments, will warn you. Alright. So, they leave to go catch Stifler. Jim and Finch go and try to get Stifler out. The ladies forget something. They go back to the house. Their buddies outside, Oz and Kevin, warn them through walkie-talkie that the women are coming back. So they frantically scatter around and try to find a hiding place. And so they hide in one of the women's rooms. And so while they're hiding, the women are changing and whatnot and discussing things, all basically getting naked. And so Stifler, the way he is, he doesn't contain himself, and he keeps making noise and keeps muttering words of perversion and whatnot. And this is, by the way, I'm skipping around. Hopefully, like I said, watch the movie so I don't have to explain it too much in detail. But Stifler makes a sound. Ladies hear it. They're suspicious. They think someone broke into their house. And they're ready to attack. And they come out. And so the ladies are basically kind of angry, not yelling or anything, but they're just kind of have this air of anger around them. And, Jim and Finch are kind of frantically trying to explain their situation, that they were just trying to get Stifler out of there and whatnot. And Stifler just says, I was just trying to, I was trying to prove that you're lesbians, basically. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to prove that point. And so the women in question decide to mess with them in a sense of going along with the story. And so they start doing stuff. Watch the movie to find out more. I will not reveal too much detail, at least the parts that are not important to the theory. So they start doing stuff, but there's a catch. Every time they do something, they stop at a certain point before, I guess, it gets steamy, or steamy. And they tell the guys, Jim, Stifler, and Finch, we do something, you have to do something. And if you do it, we continue, and then you continue. It's a back and forth thing, a give and take. So, ladies do something. Then it comes time for Stifler and Jim, the two guys that the lady selected, and they're like, all right. Because the ladies just kissed. So she tells them, now you two kiss. They go a little quick peck, and they're like, that doesn't count. It has to be a real kiss. And so they're going, and they actually kiss. Now, in there I'm thinking, okay, Jim and Finch were ready to just leave, but yet Stifler stayed around. Now, obviously, you could say he just wanted to see the chicks do more stuff. That's why he was willing to take one for the team, whatnot. So okay, we can pass on that one. So then they start doing something else, and then again they choose Stifler as one of the guys to do something, and so they tell him, okay, ladies did something. Now they say, Stifler, you have to grab Finch's ass, squeeze it, really grab, not just a touch. He does it. So there, at that point, I'm questioning, and I'm like, okay, wait, maybe there's something a little bit funky here. So there's that. And mind you, let me just say this right now, tangent. These little children cannot hear what I'm saying. I'm not being very loud. It just sounds loud to the camera because it's very close. Just so all of you don't think that I'm being obscene or saying obscene things in front of children that are within hearing distance. No, they can't hear what I'm saying. I'm actually being very quiet. Alright, so Stifler doesn't bat an eye. He does it. He does it. And so women do something, and now it's their turn. Now it's the men's turn again to do something else. But this time, the stakes are a little bit higher because they want the men to jerk each other off. Yeah, messed up, right? By the way, this whole video is gonna have like the graphic content type of block on there, so you have to be 18 and above to hear this, even though most of you already know. But just for the sake of content, I'm gonna put that on here. But yeah, so they have to do that, and then it skips the scene to the scene just goes from inside the bedroom to a footage of outside the house, and you see Finch and Jim running and basically saying, Stifler, you're disgusting, you're messed up. And Stifler has his pants unzipped and everything. So basically Stifler was willing to not only jerk Jim off, but also jerk Finch off while he was getting his dick jerked by another man. Now at that point I'm like, no straight man would ever do that. Now there's always exceptions to the situation, like if you were at gunpoint, who knows? To survive, maybe, you'll take that one for the team. But just for a girl, I don't think so. There's got to be some kind of player. Like, you can't just be so... And, I mean, you have to consider that Stifler was pretty eager to do all this stuff. Maybe not at first, but he started getting a little bit more accustomed to it. So it makes you question. So there's that. That's from American Pie 2. Makes you question him. Question is, and in the movie, after that scene, further on in the movie, he does question his sexuality. He really does. So again, it suggests in that movie that Stifler might be bi or gay. It just suggests it. Doesn't confirm anything, but it suggests that he is conscious about it at that point, and it makes it known to the audience and to the movie viewer. So let's move on ahead to American Wedding. Now with American Wedding, there's a particular scene where Jim is trying to find the person who makes wedding dresses, because he wants a custom-made wedding dress for Michelle. Now they split up in a certain area that one of this person's employers tells the guys, okay, this person is somewhere in the downtown area and probably like partying or something, I don't know. And so they split up, and it turns out that Stifler ends up finding someone who knows where this wedding dressmaker is, but it turns out that the person who knows is gay, and Stifler ended up going to a gay bar without realizing it. And so this person that knows where the dressmaker is doesn't want to divulge any information. So Stifler makes a challenge. It's like, I bet I can make you attracted to me, or basically turn you on, because the man insulted Stifler saying, you're not that great. You wouldn't turn me on. And so they end up having this dance type of battle, and very kind of sexual dance battle. And then you start saying, okay, Stifler, I mean, you say you're not gay, but I'm looking at this, and I'm really questioning you. I am really questioning you, Stifler. And so the man, Stifler ends up making the man admit that he was wrong, and that Stifler is got game. Let's just leave it at that. And so that's that. That's the one scene that's from that movie alone. Now, and I just remembered, American Reunion does have one point too. The final point that throws it all home. So there's a point at the end of the movie where, or not the end of the movie, but somewhere within the movie, where Jim's dad and Stifler's mom, Stifler's mom, Jim's dad and Stifler's mom, they find each other at a Stifler party, start talking, and since they're both parents, it's they relate and they trade stories back and forward. And one of the things that Stifler's mom says, and this goes in junction with what Jim's dad told her. Jim's dad said that that he once caught Jim having sex with a pie, an apple pie, first movie. And Stifler's mom says, "Oh, that's nothing. I've once caught Steven putting my hairbrush up his butthole, and not the handle, so the bristly end." And at that point, I'm just like, okay, yeah, Stifler's either fully gay and just won't admit it, or he's bisexual and won't admit it, or he's bi-curious. But I honestly don't think he's just bi-curious, because that would have kind of passed over. I think he's probably either fully gay or bisexual. So those are those movie theories that I have thrown at you, you loyal Louians. So this is Uncle Louie coming at you saying, thank you for everything. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell icon to be notified of the most recent uploads, because there will be more. I know I always say that, but this time there really will be more. And have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good night. I'll see you on the next one.